welcome to today's live sessions with the GM. My name is Guy and I'm the GM that's live. I'm glad to see all of you here. It's going to be an interesting show. We've got so much stuff on for you today. Lots and lots and lots of things. So first of all, let's just make sure that the audio is there. If you can hear me, that's great. Give me a thumbs up to your web camera. I'll have a look and make sure that everyone's thumbs are up, which is to say, yes, I'm super excited to have you here. It's a regular live stream. We will be going for exactly a single hour, whereafter, well, who knows what's going to happen. I see the audio coming through. Thank you so much for that, World Anvil. Good to have you in the stream for a change, and you must let us know if we're going to be raiding you later on after the stream is over. Now, today we've got a lot of things to get through. We have a lot of things to get through. I think I am, however, going to take just a little moment, because this has only happened to me once before in my lifetime. I hope it's going to happen many, many times more. And if you are an author, if you are someone who is a writer, if you want to get your work out there, I would strongly suggest that the best thing to do is just do it. Do it. Stop procrastinating. Stop worrying about hows and wheres and whys and all those kinds of things, and just do it. And of course, I'm talking about the fact that my book is finally finished. This is what I like to call the junk copy. This is printed out here, and as you can see, it is the book. It's done. Martin, who is the layout designer, he and I have sat and gone through this book, and look at that beautiful artwork. There's Dungeon Fog maps and Simon's beautiful art, and it's all in there. It's all done. The book is now done, ready to go. I've got to read through it. The reason why it's looking a bit weird is because, of course, green screen is in effect there, but it is done. It is done. So it has taken a long time. It has really taken a long time, and I would love to add more to this book, as a matter of fact, because it's like, well, there is so much more that one can add. There really is so much more that one can add. And you think about these things, you're kind of editing a paragraph, you know, oh, we could add on another 20 paragraphs or so, and then suddenly, oh, you realise, no, actually, hang on a moment, we've got to finish this at some point. We can't just keep going and going and going. So there we go. It's done, which means that if you are one of the backers, if you were one of the Kickstarters, if you want to pre-order people, in 5 days' time, the PDF will go out to you. That is the complete PDF with everything in there. The reason why it's not going out now is that it's still sitting with Mike Harris, Game Master's Vault, who is the editor, and he is going through this final copy to make sure that everything has been transcribed across and is legal and makes all sense, and he's crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. So there we go. We've still got some other bits and bobs that are being attached to this project, the maps and things downloadable, editable templates and the like. So yes, it's going to be a lot of fun to see that one go out the door. The publishers, the actual printing company, is waiting for us to send them all of our contact details for all of the people who've ordered hard copies of the books. Those will go into printing hopefully by the end of next week, and off it goes. So yes, that's that one done. So we've got a lot of things to talk about. Obviously, it's also your questions. That's why we're here. So if you have questions, role-playing questions, now's the time to ask them. Just remember to put the word question in front of your question in bold caps that I can see it. I've got the text scrolling up behind me. It's in front of me. There's White Tiger 225. Big question up front. We'll get into that now. So yes, ask your questions. White Tiger 225 says, what is your opinion on the number of artifacts a party might have at certain levels? Like, how many is too little and how many is too much? Party level is 12 and currently has 5. Well, that's interesting. Look, White Tiger, the biggest challenge is, are they having fun? Are they enjoying it? Do they like the fact that they've got all of these artifacts? And are the artifacts enhancing the game? Is the game fun because they have it? Is the game not fun because they don't have it? A lot of people say to me, when giving out treasure, when giving out magical items, it doesn't matter what system you're playing. How much is too much and how little is too little? I often say, well, NPCs that support the party are basically like magical items. If you give the PC a ship, is it a ship? Is it a magical item? It is an item. It's a wonderful item. It gives them all sorts of opportunities. Does that count as 1 or 10 or 20 artifacts? It really is. It is about finding that balance. And what happens when you go over, when you go too far? That's the biggest risk. And the immediate thing that a lot of people will say is, oh, well, have thieves steal the stuff from the party, get rid of it, have it destroyed, have it be cursed, etc., etc., etc. That's very, very dangerous. And I think that is a knee-jerk reaction to having created these artifacts that are too powerful. The real solution would then be to enhance the monsters with greater abilities to offset the artifact. What that does is it masks the fact that you've gone too far with the artifact. So those are things to bear in mind. So long and short of it, how much is too much? 5 if you've got 5 people in the party. 5 seems to be okay to me. I would look at maybe developing an adventure where they discover that they could combine 2 or 3 of those artifacts together to create something that's slightly more powerful. If they are too powerful, you can bring them together and create a single object that seems to be more powerful and is, but maybe it has less use in general. Or that they are missing certain components to building a mega artifact which they will need to have. Or there is a villain out there who has some of the components and has realized that if they combine them all together, they can build a world-destroying artifact, which the party now realize the artifacts they have are key to that and either must stop the villain or basically help the villain. So there we go. There's another question. Alison Franklin says, first time DM here. Fantastic. Well done. Always good to have DMs joining us. Any tips on balancing focus between players? Yes, absolutely. It can be a very easy thing to just find the players who give you as the DM the easy time. They engage with the NPCs, they search for traps, they really take on your gaming world, and as a result you tend to focus on them more, or perhaps they do a particularly good impersonation. The best and easiest way I can think of, and I know I forget to do this from time to time, and it's just about training yourself, is to work methodically through each one. So whenever you ask, okay, who's doing what, when one of them says, I'm doing this, make sure you cycle through everybody else saying, okay, well, while so-and-so's doing that, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? In your head, work through your party almost as an initiative order. And something that you can do, and I used to do this, was whoever arrived first at the venue or logged on first into the role-playing session was player number 1. And 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I would just work through them every single time. Obviously in combat, if you have an initiative system, you then bounce around and you go off and use that for combat. But in non-combat, that's then what I do. So that is my suggestion. Jay Shavluk says, question, role-playing 2 NPCs. My players brought together to work out their difference. There is nothing worse than a DM role-playing multiple NPCs in front of the PCs. There's absolutely no reason for it to happen. Why should you talk through each of the characters, trying to Gollum yourself? If you don't know that reference, you haven't watched the original Lord of the Rings movies from the 2000s. 20 years ago they were made. You haven't watched them, obviously. The GM is responsible for the NPCs. That doesn't mean that each NPC needs to have their own voice, and then you have to work through each and every single one. When 2 NPCs talk with one another, I think the best way of handling it, especially if the PCs are watching or they may be waiting, is to describe the way the conversation goes and to say, Ulrich is particularly domineering during the conversation, whilst Percival is much more submissive. they debate and argue over the virtues of either side. Give me some perception checks or insight checks to see if they can see that Percival is actually leading Ulrich down a path to war where Ulrich has no choice but to commit to that. Percival is manipulating the situation with a few well-placed supplication actions and allowing Ulrich to gain an anger, etc. In other words, you describe it. You don't have Ulrich, "How dare you come here, Percival?" "Well, I'm so sorry." No. Describe it and include the PCs in some way by getting them to roll or asking them, Percival's leading Ulrich to war. What does your character think about that? What does your character think? That's the better way to do it. So that's my suggestion. That's my suggestion there. Okay, next question. Ryan Beverly says, how best to have a character utilize necromancy? My newest character is a necromancer with the ability to create zombies, and I don't have that power to overshadow the party. And I don't want that power to overshadow the party, I should say. So you're necromancer. How do you utilize that in the best possible way? Necromancy is a tricky one, and it's always a valiant effort to try and see if you can find the good side of necromancy. And there are some, as far as I can see it, in terms of wanting to help the dead. The character who has the ability to talk to the dead to try and find who or what killed them and who drank my coffee. I had fresh coffee for the show, and I obviously drank it. What's left to drink? Hand sanitizer. No. All right. We will continue without liquid. So, yes, a necromancer, someone who wants to talk to the dead or to try and to make peace with the dead or to find resolution for the living by contacting the dead. I think that could work quite well. And there are a couple of TV shows that you could have a look that are based on that kind of premise. You know, if you were to really look at it, studying the dead, studying the bodies of the dead, there are options there. If your character's not evil, those are the ways that I would look at it. If your character is evil, then I would work with the DM for the way in which your character can ultimately be destroyed or killed by the party, unless the rest of the party are evil, of course, in which case it's a whole different thing. But yes, that's a very different route. That's a very different kind of question altogether. But yes, I would always just look at the contribution that can be made. That, I think, is the important thing. All right. So, what are we doing for time? 2 more minutes, and then I'm going to do something. I'm going to talk about something that we need to talk about very quickly. So, Torben BK says, in 5th edition, do you have any tips to get a player that will like to learn a new skill in downtime activity? How do you do that? Like to learn climbing or harvesting, the skills some made in a new book? How do you have any tips to get a player that will like to learn a new skill? Well, Torben, I think the most important thing is to establish that before the game even starts. So at your session 0, when you're first talking about the characters and the types of worlds and things that you're going to be playing in, is to say, and during downtime, your characters can learn a new skill. They'll get 1 point in this skill or in that skill, or they'll become proficient in this skill or in that skill. If they spend 3 weeks in training for a year, they will gain that ability. You don't want to necessarily change the leveling up structure of that particular game style, but giving them the ability to add a skill here and there, if they put in the effort, is certainly worth it, and can be a lot of fun. I mean, it really can be. But it should be established at the beginning of the game so that people know, not... or, I suppose, towards the first long rest where the party's not doing anything and they're kind of settling down, you can say, oh, by the way, I have a mechanic which I quite like to use. You can learn a new skill if you spend time doing that. Most party players will then rush off to go and learn that skill. If you give them that window, that opportunity to do so, they should take it. 1 more minute, 1 more question. Mr. Chillaxa89 says, I started a session with a group of friends. It's hard balancing combat versus exploration. Players really like talking with NPCs and faffing, not moving forward. How do I keep the plot moving? Whilst the players might like to faff around and talk with NPCs, have the NPCs give them more plot information. Overindulge them with plot. The other day I was playing, there's a new club I found here in London, and I was running a tabletop session with them, and what I thought was supposed to take 10 minutes took an hour, because they were engaging with what was going on, and they were trying to sort their ship's supplies out, and they were doing this, that, and the next thing. And there was a worry. It's like, well, we've only got 3 hours to play. Should I give them this much time to faff around, to use that particular word? They were having fun, and I was having fun going, well, what would a quartermaster in a dock, what would they be like? What would they do? How would they react to the situation? Okay, they'd react in that way, and can I give them a little hint, a little nudge, a little push in the right direction? I did. Every single NPC that the party engaged with did give them some clue or hint as to the nature of the quest that they were on, the adventure that they were ultimately on. And at the end of 3 hours, they had finally figured out. They're like, hey, remember so-and-so said that? And so-and-so said that? And so-and-so said that? What if they're all linked? And this actually is the outcome. It was a wonderful moment. It's one of those moments where you quietly have to put your hand just like this to hide the fact that you're grinning, because they figured it out. Yay, they finally figured it out. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of break. You see what happens when I don't have coffee? We're going to take a little bit of a break to talk about something else. Now, on today's show, we've got 2 separate products. One is a Kickstarter and one is an actual product. Now, they have sent me the product to review, and I have not reviewed it. I have purposefully not reviewed it. I have left it in its wrapper because I want to see first impressions. Now, for me, the bottom line when it comes to products, when it comes to stuff, is, does it make the game better? Does it make the role-playing experience better? Does it make the whole thing better or not? I want to know how that works. So it means out the box, it should work straight away. That's what I'm hoping to. And Verno Stolness, it is nice to have you in the show as well. This is the new time slot for the show, by the way. So if you do have questions, please come back with those questions. Adrian, thank you so much for that super chat donation. And you're lurking from work, so no sound to hear you with, oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. I will use interpretive dance. No, maybe not. All right, so I'm talking about a product that comes from a company that has got quite a lot of stuff, actually. They're called Lawsmith, spelt in an interesting kind of way. Their product is this deck of cards, which they sent me, like I said, Dungeon Discovery Story Hooks. Now, it's a little deck like this. Very nice. Thank you very much. And then they sent me another one called Searches. This is all sci-fi themed. It's sci-fi themed. And I might be doing a sci-fi game shortly. So, and then Locations. It says on the box, Idea Generations. I'm going to hold it there for you. Idea Generation Cards for Role-Playing Game Masters. And then on the back, it's got an illustration of the cards and then the actual website. So they've sent me these 3 decks of cards. I have not opened them. I haven't opened it. The wrapping is still in place. And they retail for $15 a deck. Okay. I'm not sure if that's including shipping or not. But I'm going to open Story Hooks because, I mean, whatever. And what I like is it's in a plastic wrapper, but I did look at them beforehand, and there's a little plastic tab. Now, for me, I know this is a silly thing, but it's nice when you can just sort of peel it off on the plastic easily, he said, and then he struggled because it's childproof. Okay, there's the plastic. Opening up the deck. Deck inside is sealed. These print companies tend to do this. But again, still a nice little easy tab, so it just slides right off. There's nothing worse than fighting with... Ooh. Okay, so promo... Lawsmith, noun, the smithing of law and myth into a powerful compound. So law smith, I suppose. Yes, that's how we would pronounce it. We create quality and fun role-playing products, mastercrafted with love in the Netherlands. Oh, Yeah, aangename kennis, Netherlands. Welcome to the Lawsmith family of bona fide nerds. Okay, so I didn't know that they were based in the Netherlands, and that's lovely. Right, they're based in the Netherlands, Holland to some people. So this is the deck, nice back, and I'm going to randomly draw a card that I cannot see, and just see if it does actually help us. Does it? Flip it over. Borrower Alien Bureaucrat. Ruins a negotiation, commits treason, to punish the corrupt, to discover new lands, but there is no return, then a virus spreads. Okay, so those are the options on the card, reversed. I'm going to take that one. So a borrower alien, drawing another one, counterfeits records, it doesn't make much sense, opens a secret portal. Aha! Aha! Opens a secret portal. Okay, drawing another one. To create a masterpiece, to prove injustice. I prefer that one. To prove injustice. And then the very last option, yet the truth is out there. But who can they trust? Right. That to me is absolutely brilliant. Let's put this in here together. So we've got, sorry, a bigger pardon. No! There it goes. Okay, right. So a borrower alien. Or a bureaucrat. I'm going to go with bureaucrat. It makes more sense. A bureaucrat, wait, which one was it now? Opens a secret portal. To prove innocence. I think we said. No, sorry, to prove injustice. But who can they trust? Okay. I love that. I absolutely love that, because you go, oh, wow. All right. How do we work this out? So the bureaucrat who's going to stop and to prove an injustice opens up the secret portal. What's the portal? It's a sci-fi kind of thing. So is it an interdimensional rift? Is it because they want to prove an injustice? So perhaps the bureaucrat's people are being abducted into a different dimension. But no one believes the bureaucrat. So the bureaucrat opens up this giant portal on the home planet, which lets everybody, all of this intradimensional alien species, come pouring through, because they can't trust anyone, because everyone that they've gone to is either in cahoots or... And how brilliant is that? So simple, and off we go. I mean, it was literally a couple of minutes. So I like that. And each card's got 2 options per sort of slot, and you can kind of work them around as you like. Some make more sense than others. Okay, so that's discoveries. I think this is absolutely brilliant. Now, they've got some, I think they've also got stuff for fantasy. So let's have a look here. We've got locations. Locations can be really useful. You know, I had a question the other day, and we're not going to go for too much longer on this, folks. So if you're not interested in these kind of decks, that's fine. Yeah, someone was asking what's that on my shirt. That is Pinky, the octopus, named Flick, who was in the Dungeons and Dragons Descent into Avernus stream, which you can find on my YouTube channel. And Pinky was a familiar, a very, very, very abused familiar, I might add, of the mage. And poor old Flick was thrown Flick was the mage, and poor old Pinky was thrown everywhere. Okay, so these are locations. Skyscraper balcony, public restroom, radar station, organ bank. Interesting. And then you add another card. So let's say public restroom, add another card. Under construction when a gravity anomaly strikes. Or, oh dear. A public fate. A public restroom suddenly goes pitch dark when the power fails. Oh dear God, what happens in that public restroom? Well, isn't that a wonderful example? Passenger aisle, access ladder, launch pad, entertainment mall, shrouded in a thick obscuring mist that hinders visibility. These, I think, are also, I mean, you can just take that and just boom, 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 put it all together, and there you go. There you go. Sorry, you're quite right, Grizzles. Flick was not in Descent into Avernus. Flick was in Ghosts of Saltmarsh. He wasn't in Descent into Avernus. Well, he was, but they never found him. Anyway, okay, so there we go. That's locations. And then they've got searches as well. I mean, these locations, there are 4 per card and there's 50 cards. So that's 200 different locations that you can add. I think that's absolutely wonderful. And then there's 2 kind of situations filled with a planar gate that opens into a beautiful alien world, caught in a warp flux that slows down time at random intervals. I mean, so you've got 100 different situations, 200 different locations. That's absolutely brilliant. And I have to say the cards themselves are made out of... I know this is sacrilege, but this is in each deck. So it hurts my soul. It really does. It really hurts my soul. But the cards, you can't see it on the camera, but the cards are made out of quite a tough cardboard. I mean, I've just ripped it in half now, but it's not too fragile, which I quite like. Not too fragile. I mean, obviously one wouldn't want to do this. I feel so sorry, card. Okay, all right. So the last one is searches. Now I'm going to open this surreptitiously, but while I'm opening this one, let's go back to your questions. I hate tearing things, even though there's one of those promos in each deck. It's like, oh God, it hurts. It hurts, but you got to do the test. I can't stand flimsy cards. So, and they've got a nice texture to them as well. They've got a nice texture to them. I swear that was a promo card. Okay, so let's see. Dan Green says, I have a problem player that is only out for the big bad weapons and will prematurely disengage or all-round ignore people in trouble to get it. How do I get them to be more of a team player? Well, that's a tough one. Okay, so they're only after big bad weapons or the best armor, I would imagine. I mean, they're a bit of a loot whore by the sounds of things. You know, they're obsessed with finding loot. That lovely smell of cards. I know I'm weird. It is what it is. All right. See, I promise. I told you that there was a duplicate of that card. There's a duplicate. These are just promotional bits and bobs. So there we go. I won't rip any more cards in half. So it sounds to me like this character likes to have big stats and high numbers. If the rest of your party doesn't like that, if they are not interested, if they're more interested in the NPCs and they don't really care about the stat build and that sort of thing, something to talk about to them is to say, well, listen, I don't know if this group is the right group for your playing style. Maybe you'd be better off finding another group where it is a little bit more about the idea of powering up and building your gear and those kinds of things, which I think is it sounds like it's a tough conversation, but in today's day and age where online is very easy to access, it should be easy to say maybe it's time to find a different group. That's definitely an answer that you can give them, and not to think that you're being a bad person or something along those lines. Brian Tierney says, I'm thinking of making my first character a ranger monster slayer based on Solomon Kane. Is there a good way to play a zealot character without being disruptive to the party? I think there is. Zealot characters often are hunting down the monsters. They're often going there and trying to, do all of their bits and pieces. And when they find one, they focus on that character and they just go straight away and they try and find out all that information. They try and do their thing. But if you watch any TV series, even if you watch a movie these days, you'll find that there's an absolutely important thing that must be done. But we can take some time to go over there first, and we can go and do that over there first, and then we can come back here. A great example, and I have to say this, as much as I wish the writing was better, and this has got a bit of a spoiler in it, so if you are watching the series, here's a spoiler. Star Trek Picard, we have to get to wherever it is that we're going, because otherwise someone's going to have a thing happen to them. I'm trying to keep it as subtle as possible in terms of... But before we go there, I'm going to go to that planet over there because I want to make it better. Yes. And you go, huh? I thought you said she was in absolutely mortal danger. Yes, but I need to go over there first because, I need to get that person because I need that person because a sword is so much better than a laser pistol thing. Oh, I'm getting into Swift there. Anyway, so in other words, if you are playing a zealot-like character, have them react in a zealot-like way when they encounter the thing, but when they're not encountering the thing, have them hold back a little bit and say, well, we really should get back to slaying demons, but I'll help you now because you're going to help me later. And that's the key, is to incorporate the party so that you don't just dominate. Get them onto your side in terms of helping you to move forward and explore that space of the character. Okay, so I've opened up this Discoveries Dungeon and Discovery Sci-Fi box set. Now it's called Searches. And so I'm going to randomly science-defying, I love this, science-defying jump boots. So if you're ever stuck for equipment, what do you find in the locker? Oh, you open up the locker and you find deluxe quality comm scrambler. There we go, it scrambles comms. Brilliant, brilliant. That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. You can sit there with this little deck and just quietly go, oh yeah, no, you search through the box and there is an illuminating keypad. Ha! Even they have those in the future. So yeah, again, guys, if this is the thing for you, here is their website. I've got it open so you can have a look. They've got sci-fi stuff. So they've got the sci-fi stuff, and then they do also have dungeon sort of stuff as well. Fumbles, Wilderland Voyages. Someone was asking, how do you make wilderness more exciting? They've got those as well. Curious Treasures, etc. Really, really worth having a look at. And that is lawsmith.com. Lawsmith.com and then /Dungeon Decks. They've got a whole bunch of other stuff as well as some free downloads. So go and check out their website. Okay. All right. Now, let's get back to some questions. I'm saving a thing that I really want to talk about because I think some of you might like it for a little bit later on. So we're going to get there. Next question is, Wasteland Survivor says, how do you pronounce GIF? The little animated pictures online. You pronounce it GIF. GIF. It is a GIF. GIF. Yep, it's a GIF. There are no other choices except for GIF. Any other choice is wrong. It's a GIF. GIF. Yeah, GIF. Like George. A GIF. Okay. The Krishcha says, what is a good finale to end a political intrigue campaign on? I don't think a sword fight in the throne room is fitting, but a council vote to send the big bad to prison seems unfulfilling. Court cases very, very, very often are. I think you have a few choices, and one of the things that you can certainly look at, I think anyway, when a political game is coming to an end, is the PCs need to feel as if they have won the victory. And a court case, you've been found guilty, off you go, is really unfulfilling. At the same time, I completely agree with you. Having the villain, I was right, you will die, and villain attacking and fighting in the courtroom, it also feels very hackneyed as well. It really does feel a little bit boring. So, how would you finish that off in a dramatic way? I would have, this could be interesting. Okay. So, thanks to these cards, because why not? I just need to check that. Form of an evil card. Okay, so this court case is about to happen. This political monster has been brought low. The characters have made it happen. In that court case, I think the best way to treat it is to say, well, what happened in other court cases? What do the cards suggest? The cards said assassination. And I went, right, okay. Excellent. I would have an assassin trying to take out the political big bad before sentence is passed. Because if the big bad dies, he becomes a martyr for his cause. Especially if he dies before there is that pronunciation. So the treacherous prince who's dragged before the rightly reinstated king. Before the king can pass sentence, if that prince is murdered, is assassinated, then the cause becomes stronger. So quite possibly the PCs can discover that there is a plot to assassinate the evil character, and in a twist, they have to save that character, so that then that character can, of course, later on suffer the consequences and be justified. And so the campaign ends with the character being saved and dragged off for judgment to be passed, and later on the PCs are sitting in a tavern and they can watch the hanging or the execution or the banishment, etc, etc, etc. So I would definitely look at it as that sort of way. Grizzle says, is it okay for a character to have a permanent disadvantage, a charisma cap at 10, for example, or a permanent advantage on, say, intimidation? Permanency is... I'm not convinced it's that big a deal, to be honest with you. If the character is just considered absolutely ugly or so abrasive and irritating that their charisma is never going to go higher than 10, what is the counter to that? Now, I know that sounds like, oh, well, we've got to balance. But why would the player play that character? Because it's interesting. In which case, does it really matter that it's a permanent cap? If the player is playing it because it's interesting, the question then is, what is the character going to do to overcome that? And I think that's the trick, is if they have this limitation, how does it contribute to role-playing and not hinder the party's progression, by the way? We don't want a character who is going to negotiate, but the character is this absolute horrific person. A wonderful example, again on Thursday with the session I was running, we had a player who was playing this mage who was an absolute slime bag and would con and trick and cheat and be derisive and argumentative, and all those wonderful things. But the moment the captain of the ship gave them an order, they would follow through on it to the best of their abilities, and they would get involved, and they wouldn't be snarky towards the captain or the crew. They'd be snarky to every NPC out there and work really well. Okay, now let's see, where are we? There's still a lot of debating on the word GIF. I don't know why. I thought that debate was solved a long time ago. Anyway, as D-Dubs Entertainment very correctly says, please put the word question in front so that I can actually notice it. Right, Joe D says, question, fudge rolls or open roll and fudge HP? Joe D, I like to do both. I really do. I use dice rolls primarily for tension. Yes, to roll, to hit, and to miss, and to how much damage and all that kind of stuff. That's mechanical stuff, and that's absolutely fine. I mean, that is what it is. So roll openly if you know that if there's a chance they're going to die, that's absolutely fine. Roll openly. That's the nature of the game. But occasionally, just roll quietly behind your hand. The players will go, oh, what did he just do? Did he just roll it as bad as hand? Oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh no. Oh, now it's bad. All you've done is create tension, yes, with the player, than not necessarily in the game, but that's what the dice are there for. They're there to hype up the level. So if there's a debate going on and you quietly just roll something on the side, they're like, whoa, what did he roll for? What is the debate going to what's going to happen in the debate? What did we miss? We missed something, guys. We missed something. You're hyping up the emotional space of that game, and I think that's important because the die, ultimately, that's what they're doing. The real interaction will be solving problems, and that's all intellectual. That's not necessarily emotional. So how do we get the emotion in with descriptions? Yes, absolutely. But that dice makes it very real. So that's what I use it for. And yes, I rolled an 18, and what's the to hit? Oh, it's an 18. Okay, well, he hits you. How much damage is it? Well, he rolls to do damage, right? Okay, still standing. Fudge, not necessarily the roll, but the addition, the multiplier, or, the dex pitching, so I'm actually going to give him disadvantage on the roll, or -5, -10. I mean, all of that's in your head anyway. No one's going to be able to quote you specifically on that. So that's where I would fudge rolls, to be perfectly honest with you. One more minute, one more question, then I'm going to show you something pretty cool. More cool. No, I don't know. It's not more cool than the dungeon cards. I really like these dungeon discovery cards. I must admit, I really do. I'll be taking them. Well, I'll probably be using them in the next game that I'm trying to put together. I can't talk too much about it because it's early days yet. But anyway, all right. So last question. Watcher2417 asks, what do you think of statistics, i.e. or e.g. population density for world building? I think those kinds of statistics can be informative. If you say, well, 20% of the population is human, 15% is this, 100% is that. I wouldn't be too focused on it, and I wouldn't try and have correct statistics. I would use them as guidelines. Again, is it more interesting? Is it more entertaining to have that kind of stuff? If that is what you're doing, if that's what you enjoy doing, absolutely. I think World Anvil are busy getting ready for their stream where it is definitely something to look at. So yeah, it's something to ponder. But again, statistics, rivers flowing accurately, mountains. If the population embrace it, if they believe it, if you give that to the players as the NPCs just accepting it and moving forward, then absolutely, that is what it is. I'm not entirely sure if there's more to it. So if you've got more to that question, let me know. Okay, there's lots of questions. Hold your questions for now. All right, so a good friend of mine's friend, so a friend of a friend who's not yet a friend because I haven't really had much time to become a friend, but they're in that kind of space, is doing something which is a Kickstarter. Now, I have in the past spoken about Kickstarters that were interesting or that were different. This one came across my desk and they said, please, would you talk about it? And I went, well, is it something that I would use? No, because I'm a dungeon master. And it's not something that I think is for the dungeon master. I think this is much more for the players. And so my players, I certainly know that I have a whole bunch of players who, when they see this book, are going to go, shut up and take my money. So I couldn't help but say, yes, okay, I'm going to talk about it. Now, I don't really need to talk about it. They've made all of their money on Kickstarter, so now they're doing all those wonderful stretch goals and things. And stretch goals, I think, are really cool and really fun. So this comes from Runesmith. He does those great YouTube channels. He's part of, or was part of XP to Level 3 with Jacob, who is a good friend of mine. They've got together, well, not Jacob, but Runesmith and company have got together and they have produced this thing. Now, just the video is, I think, quite interesting. So have a look at this. So this is their book, Stibbles Codex of Companions. And it's a whole series of unique animal companions, familiars, and pets. So if you are the sort who plays a wizard and you want an awesome companion, this is the way to go. Now, they've put this together. It's a little animation. It's absolutely, absolutely awesome. Now, you be quiet. They've really put a huge amount of effort into it. These are the core characters that they're talking about, a sort of a Groot type of character, and then a couple gnomes and things. It's really, really awesome. There is Runesmith himself, and then these are just the little characters and things. And then there's plastic models that you can get. They've got little stat cards, which are quite fun. Everyone's got cards these days, but cards really help. They really do. Those are the figurines that they're looking at bringing out to add to the whole thing. And then they've got chibis as well. I think that's how you pronounce it. I know it's definitely GIF, but yes, and they're busy unlocking all kinds of things as well. There's not just those, but yes, it is what it is. They've got lots of updates already. They are well on their way. They've really backed it beyond what they were looking for. So if you are interested in improving your characters, your creatures, your pets, that's the one for you. That's the one to go and have a look at. Jump onto that Stibbles Codex of Companions. I've got 26 days still to go, and yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I think if you like companions and you want something a little bit more tangible than just a hand waving, it's a ferret, this is for you. This is definitely for you. And of course, they made sure that it's compliant and compatible with everything that you could possibly want it to be compatible with. So there we are. Okay, so I see there's some clarification going on who Runesmith is and who Jacob is, and yep, yeah, there we go. That's how it works. Both of them very nice guys. Of course, role playing with Jacob is an absolute absolute insane joyride, which I would do any day of the week. I really, really do enjoy role-playing with him. So, Stibbles Codex of Companions. The link is shared in the YouTube video. Let me share it here. Now, if you use this link to go and check it out and you support the Kickstarter, they get the statistic saying that you got it from us, which helps us because it proves that we did it. And yes, in this case, they're going to be promoting our book. We're promoting them, so it's one big happy promotional fest going on. But I generally think that the production quality of this is going to be very high. It certainly looks like they've already started on a very good foot with that little animated video right in the front. It's a lot of work has gone into that, and so yes, there we are. Okay, so tonight we looked at dungeon discoveries from Lawsmith, which those little demos, I don't know if you didn't find a slime covered set of night goggles interesting, I'm not sure what you will find interesting, because really it's a remote controlled food dispenser that I want. Actually, you know what? That would be brilliant, because then I could have remote controlled coffee and I would just have a fountain over my... All right, I'm going to stop that now because now I'm starting to crave coffee. Let's go back to questions. You've now seen what I have to share, and so there we are. Hopefully it's of value to you. I mean, this show is for you guys, so yeah, if you like it, you like it. And let me know. I only know to include these things if you like it. If you say, we never want to see another Kickstarter ever again, I'll say, all right, so long to Kickstarters. If you want to see product stuff, let me know. I want to see product stuff, because that's how we work. Hero Metzler says, I'm running a campaign we started with dragons being in the place of the gods, but I want to start to introduce beings trying to become the gods. How do I introduce this subtly? What steps are those beings going to take to become gods? If you work out the path that those beings need to take in order to dethrone the dragons, there's your answer. So let's say, for example, the character wants to become a god, they want to replace a dragon, and they feel that if they can slay the dragon, and they have a suitable receptacle to trap the dragon's spirit in, they can then consume that receptacle. And, well, as a matter of fact, let's modify this slightly. It's a receptacle is a cleverly falsified banana. That's it. They have a banana. It said bandana, but I read banana. So they have a banana, whatever, that's going to capture the dragon's soul, and when they slay the dragon, and then they consume the banana and they consume the soul of the dragon, and thus they are deified, if you like. You could make the entire banana, you could make that into a long quest where they've got to combine various items together to create a spell of binding, if you want to make it a lot more fantastical. And this character comes to the party and has a quest. I need you to find the tip of a feather of the submerged crocodile. I don't know, whatever. Go get that and I'll give you 1,000 gold. So they go off and they get it. Okay, great. They come back. That's brilliant. Now I need you to go off there and let's go and get a tear from the eye of a unicorn that's just learnt that its record deal didn't go through. This is one hell of a trippy little adventure series. Anyway, so they go off and they get the tear and they come back. Then you have someone coming to the party saying, I need you to find me a book. This book is on combining things together. And in the book, it talks about that there's a spell of binding that will allow you to bind the soul of someone to your own if you have these ingredients, and they happen to have got those ingredients. You know, so it's a long journey. So figure out how those characters are going to become gods, and then give them that space. And remember, your party will probably want to intercede on their behalf and become gods themselves. So never trust a draconic banana, and always bring a banana to the party. And don't fear the banana. So, yes, bananas do frequently feature in my life. I love bananas. What can I say? Xander the Green says, or asks, how to mitigate split party NPC conversations so that everyone has equal screen time. You've answered yourself there, Xander. When the players split themselves up, and again, my Thursday night game last week, and I will be referring to whatever game I have been running because that's what I do. They were playing and within 10 minutes had split the party up and were having, it was a 3-way split, they were having 3 different conversations with NPCs. I always find the best thing to do is to have the conversation with the NPC and get to a point where the NPC says, "But I've got something more to reveal." And then you cut away to the other party with their NPC. And their NPC says, "Of course I'll sell you the banana, but there's something you should know about the banana." And then you cut away to the next split. And banana split. There we go. You cut away to the next split. And you just keep bouncing around, always on the cliffhanger or on the conclusion. Right, we're done. Very well. You leave. Next party, you leave. Next party, you leave. You get back together again. So always try and find a cliffhanger. And you don't have to manufacture cliffhangers. Don't feel like you do. Just in casual conversation, as you're about to tell them the primary point, okay, that's it for today. We're going to go somewhere else now. You see, it's easy. It wasn't a huge cliffhanger, but it was a bit of a cliffhanger. It was enough to keep the person engaged. Scar75 or Scare75 says, how would you go about planning a hex crawl exploration type of campaign? Well, absolutely. I think the bottom line when you're doing an exploration type of campaign is that is one of the 4 types of adventures that you can have, in my opinion, is discovery exploration. The other 3, thwarting, so those where you're preventing something from happening, you're defeating something that was going to cause something bad to happen, and then it's delivering and it's collecting. Now, if you have just exploration, that can get very boring. Think about Lewis and Clark exploring the great United States of America, or Dr. Livingstone exploring the length of the Nile trying to find its source. If it was just explore, look, make a perception check, draw your map, do the thing, that does get very dull. So alternate it. One session is exploring, one adventure is exploring where they discover a new civilization or a new temple. The next adventure is that new temple is under threat by something that they have caused to have happen. And so as a result, they have to stay and fight that thing. And then they move forward on to the next one. And because it's a hex crawl, assumedly you are wanting them to go wherever they choose to go. Just work through that cycle. Now, you don't have to go explore, combat, discover, explore, combat, etc., etc. You don't have to do that. But remember to mix it up. Keep it mixed up. And your sessions will feel as if this exploration is just this epic thing. Langyar says, Longyar, is that Langyar? Maybe, could be. No, I don't. Anyway. What is your view on Warhammer Fantasy? Is it a suitable world for long campaigns? Pros and cons, etc. The Warhammer Fantasy universe is fantastic. There are lots of options for you to explore. You can have lizard folk trying to do weird and wonderful things with the, what do they call it? Not the warp, the magic ether, winds of magic. They can be trying to control the winds of magic. You've got all of the elvish plotting going on, and then all of the Skaven things and beastmen, etc., etc. So yes, absolutely. I think it could very much be a case of you can run this. The system itself, if you're talking about that, I've only played Warhammer Fantasy once long ago. I'm sure they've brought out a new system since I played it. But yes, it can be a little bit tricky. Like a lot of things where I think how I stand to be corrected, but it's a percentile system. I think 2d10s or something along those lines. Anyway, the challenge is replenishment and survival opportunity. So I would look to base the PCs in a castle or in a town or a village so they can go back and replenish as necessary and run it from there. That would be my suggestion. NPC 746862, you're absolutely welcome to come and clean the kitchen here anytime you like. They made a comment, thank you for tonight's entertainment at work while cleaning the kitchen. There we go. I've got a message on my phone, which means we must be getting near to the end of today's show. We are indeed getting towards the end of today's show. If you're on Twitch, we will be raiding our wonderful partners and sponsors, World Anvil, whom I will be with in Bristol next week. If you are in bonny Bristol on the coast, of England, the west coast of England. Next week there's a convention. Next weekend there's a convention, and I will be there with World Anvil. They'll be giving a series of amazing talks and seminars. I will be there just having a look around and running a game, you know, for whoever might be there. So if you are in Bristol, then come along and say hello. I really wish you did do. So it also means no session next week. No session next week. I will be in Bristol, or actually I'll be on my way back from Bristol by then. No session next week, but we will see you the week after. So with that, we will start our raid of World Anvil, who appears to be playing a violent game of some description. So I will start that raid if you are on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, remember to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos coming out. A video came out this week, as a matter of fact, one of the first Circle videos. And yes, until then, Twitch, so long. They've all been raided. And for those of you on YouTube, let's see, there's quite a few of you on YouTube. YouTube always outnumbers Twitch, which makes me happy. Anyway, until next time, I thank you all for being part of the stream and wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming until 2 weeks from now when we meet again.